Welcome. This podcast is a series of candid conversations exploring the human experience from a completely new perspective. In it, we will be diving deeply into the meaning of commonly used words and pointing you away from that old stressful way of looking at life and towards a new paradigm. This will help you find a sense of calm, cultivate meaningful relationships, and create harmony in every aspect of your life. Here is Navigating Life with Ease with Michaela, Ellis and Clare Downham.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well, Claire. How are you?
Good.
Yeah,
good. Thank you.
I have a word. Well, actually, it's two words, but I couldn't break them apart. Are you ready?
I am ready. I'm on the edge of my seat. It's two words. It's really exciting.
Being you.
Ooh, being you. I guess that the meaning of that has really changed for me, and I guess that's because there isn't. I'm going to say there isn't a me being, because it's being me, isn't it? Yeah, there isn't. That's all an illusion. Who I think I am, what I think I'm capable of, how I think I belong in the world, where I think I belong, what I can do, what I can't do, how I'm supposed to behave when I'm being a good girl. All of that is an illusion. Like it doesn't represent me and what my potential truly is. So when I was talking to somebody about this on Sunday, actually, how for me it's about looking to see our true potential. It's about looking at toddlers, like, and how they are in the world. I often say, you go to a family party and who is the first on the dance floor? The little tiny children, because they don't have to drink half a bottle of wine to go on the dance floor, because they have no idea that people would ever be thinking about them, let alone that they give a damn about that, because they just don't have the same thing about caring what other people think. So nothing like that ever holds them back. They do things that bring them joy with so much ease. They don't have all that thinking that I might have. I mean, I don't have a lot of thinking about dancing. I'm actually usually before the toddlers on the dance floor. That's just how I am. Because I don't really care what other people think about me so much these days. But I think it's just worth looking at what's innate, like what is innate to us, and what is underneath this idea of me and who I am and what I am. And what's just coming to mind, actually, I'm going to share it because it's interesting that I obviously I was a primary school head teacher and really noticing, actually, even in nursery, so those children are like 3 years old, there does seem to be some gender differences in terms of the inclination to do certain activities, which is really interesting, because we're into this world, aren't we, where everybody's got to be the same and everybody's got to be doing the same, and there's no women's jobs. And I mean, we have jokes in this house about what a blue job is and what a pink job is. It's like, because actually, Bruce and I, when we just settle into not really caring about what society thinks about whose job's what, but we naturally seem to fall into certain roles in the house. He does more of the physical stuff. I do more of the organising stuff. But when you kind of watch the children in nursery, you will see The boys are naturally more active. So they will be in the bricks, in the big, especially not so much the Lego, but the big bricks, you know, like building forts, or they'll be outside. You have to kind of monitor a little bit how much the boys are outside, because if you let them, they'll be outside in the outdoor play all the time. You'll look around the classroom and you'll go, oh, there's only girls in here. Where did all the boys? And the girls naturally have an inclination to sit at a table writing. They're just more inclined to, and it's really, I remember doing an activity about pretending that one of the teddy bears in the classroom had come awake in the night and was writing letters to the children. So it was really about getting engagement, getting them to write. And the girls went for it hook, line and sinker. And they were writing, you know, obviously it was emergent writing. So most of it wasn't real writing, although you'd be starting to see some letter shapes and stuff. They were like writing, they're telling me everything they could say to the bear. And then I'd go home each night and I'd write another little letter back and read it to them. And every morning the girls were there at the table, and you look round and you were like having to drag the boys to come and take part in this activity because their inclination was to be moving. Then I think that's their natural inclination. And again, for me, nature, in terms of who we truly are as human beings, looking at nature and looking at, well, what was it like in the cave? What was it like back then before we created this strange construction of life that we have now? Well, women would have been, so they say, more sedentary, more still, looking after the children. Not still, because nobody's as still as we are. Nobody was ever still as we are now. But they would have been the berry picking and the small children looking after them. And the men would have been out running about, defending and attacking, you know, bringing in the food, chasing the wildebeest and keeping everybody safe, doing much more physical moving around type things. And I wonder how much of this world we've created where we're like trying to make everybody the same has kind of buried some of that natural inclination that we have. And I guess, like, for me, I'm thinking, well, how do we know? How do we know what's natural and what's learned? You know, I have a natural inclination to do certain things. I feel like I'm quite good at certain things, and I don't have an inclination, although I would say I have more inclinations to do more things than I used to have. So that's really interesting. Who I thought I was, that's changing all the time. What I think I'm able to do, who I think I'm able to be in the world, is the ideas about that are dissolving, and I'm seeing myself doing things that I didn't think were my thing, which is really interesting how that changes all the time. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm grinding to a halt, really. But just the whole idea of who I think I am, a big chunk of that is conditioning. It's what people told me I am. It's, you know, what people told me I was capable of, what people told me I was allowed to do, to be, well, particularly I would say for me, to be a good girl and not get into bother and not get criticised, because that was a big thing for me, to try and avoid criticism as a child. So how much have we learned about this idea of me and everybody else? And how much is innate? And can we ever really know that? Over to you then. You can answer all those questions.
Yeah. So good, Claire. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to, there's something that's stuck out that you said. It's like, you know, how do we know? How can we know when we're really being who we are? You know, because we have all this thinking about who we are. And I thought, oh, wow, there we go again. 3 principles. It all kind of goes back to a feeling, you know, where we have these urges, these nudges, these inspirations, these pulls to do this or that, or say this or that, or go here or there. And depending on our conditioning, because absolutely we've been conditioned, we have all these programs, the first 7 years of our life, programmed innocently. It's just how it goes. And then we spend the rest of our life either living that out, or hopefully, we are come to create our own environment that is open to breaking free of that. And breaking free, isn't that what being who you really are, living by the spirit that we are, 99.9999991% of energy, of this possibility. So, yeah, being who we really are. And I've been studying kind of behind the scenes, kind of studying human design for the last 6 or so months, and really seeing it's like, okay, that's just it's just good information that's already there. It's like we already are who we are at our core, and we're layered on top of with our thinking, our conditioning. But it's like we've always been who we are. And it's like we're spending our life, unearthing, sort of growing. When you think about the seed of who we are has always been. And then here we are spending our life, pushing away the earth, our thinking, whatever, to grow into expressing more of who we really are. It was interesting. I had met up with a friend who I haven't even spoken to for 25 years. And we grew up together. We went to school together from grade 1 to 12. And it was such a delight when we came together, it was just like, oh my God, I got goosebumps now. Like, I feel you. I feel her essence, the essence of who she is. It hasn't changed. Yes, she's doing different things in her life. It's like she's bloomed and she has this wonderful life that she's created for herself and continues to like break the earth, break through, and reveal more of that to, like, we're using gardening or flowering to flower even bigger, And it's like, wow. And she too, it's just like, oh, you're just the same. And of course, yes, when we say that, it's like, yes, because we're recognizing the truth of who we are, the truth of who we've always been, and more who we've become. Like it's something different, but it's more becoming more of who we've always been. Shedding that thinking. And it can be a challenge, right? There's certain areas in each of our lives that we experience heavier thinking about it than we do in other areas, where we can totally be ourselves in this part of our life. Maybe it's our social life, or maybe it's our business life, or maybe it's our, our career, or, our close, like, partner relationships. But it's like one of or more can feel more sticky. It's like, well, why is that? Why can I be so much me, so much more me, and feel comfortable and free and just let loose in this area? And then in this area of my life, it's like, it's like, and it just simply all comes down to what we believe about it, what we've been taught to believe about it. And maybe we've had some experiences. Being back with her, I've had a lot of memories come up about school. And it wasn't always really nice experience. School, right? And it's like, yeah, and if I was more me then, I would have handled it differently. But it's just allowed me to learn along the way. Learn to feel what it's like when I'm not being me. Learn to feel what it's like when I'm totally being me. And it's so much more fun. It's so much more. It is being the first to jump on the dance floor, or whenever you want to jump on the dance floor. It is about that. And it not mattering. I'm just seeing, when allowing who we really are to lead the way, how much more enjoyable life seems to be, and how it's like whatever that endeavor is, it seems to take less energy, less time, there's less resistance. It just kind of happens. And it seems that surprise and delight are always in there at some point.
I love that. I think it's like that revealing I often talk about revealing your true potential. That there's a potential to it, and I suspect we'll never see it all, because there'll always be some conditioning that kind of covers things over. But it's interesting what you said about human design, because I think I've shared this with you before. I had I've had brief looks at it, and I went to this one networking event where a lady did a presentation about it, and I'm a generator, and on my slide she had a slide for each category. I don't know what you call them, categories or whatever. Types. Yeah, she had a slide for each type, and all she focused on was business. She just had a business slide for each type. Because she only had 20-minute presentations, so she only had a little bit of time. And on my slide, it said, always follow your intuition at the top. And then it said something else. But the third thing it said was, work out the how as you go along. And I had such a tear-inducing insight at that moment, because I saw that my perfectionist thinking, Claire must get this right before she does it, because otherwise there'll be consequences for that, had prevented me from really following my intuition. What it had me doing was hearing the first idea, the first nudge, like you were saying, the nudge would come, and then I'd go into overdrive trying to make that more perfect than it kind of it's coming through perfect. And like, it has its own energy and it has its own step-by-step plan, and it all comes inbuilt if you just go with that. But I didn't do that. I was like, right, I've got to, let's say it was something from a business. I've got to make a perfect landing page. I've got to make all these perfect videos. I've got to make it all completely finished. And what would then happen was that I'd just sort of get bored of it, really. I'd just be exhausted by the whole project. And in the end, those things never would end up being shared with anybody beyond me. And I'd do a lot of work to get them there, because I felt like they needed to be finished and perfect. And since then, the things that I've created have been much more, not on the fly, but well, maybe on the fly. They've been much more create as I go along, just right. I'm ready to share this with people, and I'll see what happens. And then I will create, my insight timer course. I created it week by week as the learners went through the journey. Each week I created the next bit. And even with the second cohort, it's happening in quite a similar way. There's still this kind of, it's changing. It's not quite going in the same order as the first cohorts. It's still working it out. Obviously, I've got more slides and stuff made this time, but it's very similarly, it's emerging as we go on the journey. And there's just so much more lightness in that. And freedom and ease and like energy. Like you said, it just comes with energy when we're just following that nudge. It's like moment by moment. It's present. It's like, right, what's happened this last week with this cohort? What needs to happen this week? And then it's a reflection on that. And then it's right now. This is the next thing. Not the whole story about what it's supposed to look like. And there's so much freedom in that. Loads more. And loads more of that potential coming through, I think, because I think presence and potential go together. So, if we're caught up in the future or the past, we're not present and we're not in our potential. We're not in that sense of who we really are.
Exactly. Really being present means being who you really are. It's where it's like X marks the spot kind of thing. You can't make that up. That place of presence, of being you. There's definitely a feeling to that. Settled.
Yes, settled but energetic at the same time.
Yes. Alive. Cool. It's very cool. This is something that could be talked about again if it feels right, but it feels like a good place to close.
Yeah, now I'm just wondering whether everybody heard the Amazon driver banging the door down. If they did, that's fine, because we're having a human experience here, aren't we?
We are indeed. Yes. All good.
Just then it came to a beautiful end. Signified by the Amazon driver. Oh, thank you, Michaela. That was lovely. What a lovely idea to explore that.
Thank you too. That was great.
You.
I would love to hear from our listeners. If there's anything that you'd like to share about being you, what you've noticed, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Definitely. That'd be fun.
And
if they've got any words, they can email one or other of us for a word for the other person. That has happened.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
All
right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. You have a great week.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thank you for being a part of Navigating Life with Ease. We'd love to hear your feedback and receive a review on your favorite podcast platform. This will help others who'd also like more ease in their life to find us. We're here to support you, so if you've any words you'd like us to explore or you've a question, please reach out to us at navigatinglifewithease@gmail.com. Again, thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more episodes of Navigating Life with Ease.